No, I know you guys didn't care.
Sean, obviously it's a pretty big week. Do you look at this game against the Bucs as any kind of measuring stick for where you guys are at standing there defending Super Bowl champions?
Well, they've played great football, Lindsay, but for us, every single week is an opportunity to measure yourself against great opponents. This league is so competitive. These guys are playing really high-level ball. They picked up right where they left off at the end of the season with what they've done against Dallas and Atlanta last week, and so it's going to be a great challenge, but it is our third game. I think it's important for the good teams to be able to show steady improvement, and I think there's been reflections of that through the first couple weeks, and looking forward to seeing a great challenge this weekend. It's unbelievable. I mean, the command, the consistency, the way he's throwing the football, the way that he is decisively recognizing things and getting the ball where it should go. I've always said this before, the best make everyone around them better, and that's what he's done. He's elevated the play of that team, and he is it's impressive to see. And, you could make the case that he's doing some things at as high a level as he's ever done, and, his career is well documented, and it's going to be a great challenge. It'd be something that was kind of a nagging thing more than anything, and so we're just trying to get a grasp and get a real hold on it so that it doesn't linger throughout the year, Jordan. We're going to be smart with him again today. I think Reggie feels good about some of the new treatment processes and procedures that we've implemented. He's responding well up to this point, but we'll sit him out today, and then we'll see what it looks like for his status tomorrow.
When you're scheming against their defensive front, does it remind you of your own?
Well, what reminds you of it is there's great players. It's a very different scheme in terms of, the techniques and the fundamentals that they play with up front. But Coach Bowles' defenses always do such a phenomenal job of applying pressure to the offenses. And they have the ability to mix it up. They've got some guys they've added and try on, but there's some familiar faces that are really playing at a high level. I mean, you're seeing Barrett, you're seeing Pierre-Paul, what Sue's done. Last year when we played these guys, they didn't have Vita Vea, and he is one of the best players in this league. He's physical, he's violent, and then they've got two linebackers on the second level that run and hit and do things in both phases, defending the run and the pass as well as anybody. So there's a reason why they've established themselves as one of the premier defenses in this league. They've got great players. They've got a great coach, and Coach Bowles leading the way. But the techniques, the fundamentals, the kind of the philosophy of how they play is pretty different than our defense, but both very good defenses, no doubt about it.
Chris Arians was saying that when the two teams met last year, the Bucs were at the decent crawling stages in their development. Do you see them as a better team right now than they were last November?
Well, I thought they were a pretty good team when we played them last November, and so they've only gotten better. I mean, you look at it since they played Kansas City, I believe, the week after we played them, and then they haven't lost since. So they really played high-level football, and really what I've seen from these last 2 weeks has been reflective of that. So it's hard to argue with exactly what Coach Arians is saying. I'm not sure yet. We're seeing what Daryl's status will be, but you can expect to see Sony. Whether he's taken the first snap or however many snaps he plays is kind of still to be determined.
And how unusual is it for you game planning against a team that has every starter back? When you look at film and there's no turnover. It's like the same 11 on each side. Is that an unusual thing for you guys?
It is. We've played them each of the last couple years, so there's been continuity with Coach Bowles still being there, and you can kind of just see how their players have gotten better. They've gotten more comfortable. I guess I've never really thought of it that way, but there's a lot of familiar faces, and that's not a good thing for when you're trying to go against these guys, because really good players, they've only continued to increase their ownership of what the intent is of what they're trying to get done, and I think they're definitely a very versatile outfit that can beat you in a variety of ways. You know what? I would say, in some instances you can make the case, but I thought what was really impressive with what Coach Bowles did is their identity, they had the ability to kind of change their identity a little bit as the season went on and when they really hit their stride. And then you're seeing them do a good job of kind of taking some things that, maybe were off-season studies or things that they did at a high level after we had played them and implement them both against Dallas and Atlanta. And so there's a variety of different things that he can activate, but, there's enough stuff that he's throwing at you. It's hard to pick up on any real tendencies from these guys.
When people have been describing your offensive line the last couple of weeks, they mentioned the phrase they're out there looking for work. What does that mean to you, and what have you seen from this last season?
they've played tough. They've played physical, really in both phases, not only protecting the passer, but also in the run game. I think it's been really encouraging that when we've had to run it in some of those situations, both against the Colts and the Bears, they did a great job getting removal up front. I think they're playing as a unit. Kevin Carberry's done a great job with these guys. And so I've really been pleased with that unit. It's always about the players, but Coach Carberry's come in, and him and Nick Jones and Zach Cromer have really poured into that group. And then you're seeing Witt and Rob and Brian Allen and Corbs and David Edwards do a really good job. Been very pleased with them.
Cooper Kupp mentioned yesterday that those guys seem like they just have more fun than anybody else in meetings, and that's like an O-lineman thing.
Yeah.
There seemed to be a little bit of FOMO happening there. Do you ever catch that or feel that those guys have their own little bubble?
They do. They're in their own world. And, these guys love football. I mean, if you ever just really want to have an appreciation for offensive linemen, just watch them the whole game and the selflessness that's displayed, all the different things that they do, some of the piles that they get caught up in. I mean, you got to really love football to do what these guys are doing. And so they're a connected group. It's a special rapport that they've been able to establish. And, I've really been impressed with Matthew's ability to connect with those guys. There's a fun dynamic going on really with that offense in general, but those offensive linemen are certainly special individuals. There's no doubt about it.
Sean, have you seen anything as to why they've been so pass heavy, the Buccaneers?
Why teams against them?
No, why they have been so pass heavy this year. I mean, you look at their run pass ratio, it seems really good.
Tom Brady, the skill players. I mean, to me, what I've always respected about Coach Arians and Coach Leftwich, it's the best way to move the football. And, everybody wants to talk about balance and things like that, but it's about moving the ball and scoring points. And they've done that as a high level as anybody. And I just think with how well that they're throwing the football and the different elements that they can really put you in a bind with their personnel, their scheme, and then the guy at the switch is doing such a great job. It's hard to argue with that approach. But they can be physical now too. I mean, if they want to really be able to, come downhill at you and be able to present some things to marry their run in the pass with some of their stuff they do have to play action or, some of their downhill direct runs. I mean, they can certainly, shift that identity as well. And that's what the good offenses do, and they're certainly one of them.
With Matthew Stafford, is there a couple areas you think you two have grown together between the first 2 games?
I just think that experience, Lindsay, there's nothing like being, you can't ever simulate, like I mentioned to you the other day after the game. All right, we go down after we're up 17-6, and now it's 21-17. What's the look in the eye? How good do you feel about things? And I think, it just continues to increase your confidence, and the things that you thought were true are true when, the live bullets are flying, and it's real games that count. I just think his steadiness continues to stand out. He's unflappable. Love the way he responded after the one turnover. And I think what also stands out to me, Lindsay, is how quickly he can immediately communicate what he's seeing, not necessarily before we have to get to the bench. I mean, it's coming off, and he's recognizing it. There's a reason behind everything that's going on, and that's really helpful for us to be able to move on to the next series, whether that's, all right, hey, this was a good thing, or we got to improve on that. And that communication that can happen immediately when clock's ticking, and especially some of the other things that I'm responsible for during the game, is very helpful, and that's been a good thing these last couple weeks.
When we see Bay on film, how are you so disruptive in the running pass game?
I think it's because he's such a large individual that has such good ability, such good movement. He's got great football instincts too. His ability to recognize whether it's concepts in the run game or be able to read out for boots or play actions and then be able to transition when he's defending the run to a pass rush. He's got all the tools that you can really ask for, and he's a problem. He's a real problem.
Wrap up with you, Sean, as much as you talk about being balanced, given what you're saying about the name of the game is just moving the ball, when you're playing a team like the Buccaneers that's so good against the run, is there a temptation to just forget the run game and just air it out? Go all in passing game throughout the game?
Yeah, I think it's important to be able to keep people honest, and I think a lot of it is predicated on, okay, what kind of game do they want to be able to make it, and those are the things that you got to be able to look at during the course of the week as your preparation kind of unfolds and your game plan unfolds, but then also during the game, okay, hey, here's what we're seeing. This either aligns or doesn't align with the film, and then we've got to be able to adjust or adapt accordingly. But you like the balance, but like I said, it's about moving the ball and scoring points, and whatever we think is the best way to do that, that's the approach that we'll take. Okay? Thank you, guys.
Usually when something rough happens, that's when I'm asked over here, so that's good. It's the same all over, baby, same all over.
Joe, can you take us through the last two games, the opening kickoffs? Would you prefer a touchback in that scenario or the coverage? What was going on?
Well, it just depends situationally. We're going to try to be a team that knows how to cover kickoffs. And, on both of those, one was a leverage situation, one was a missed tackle. So, you should have had plays that are inside the 20, which with our defense should be a huge help. And what we don't want to get to is where later on in the season, we're not good at covering kickoffs. Because when you get in cold weather, when you get in the playoffs, maybe when you get to Seattle next week, you're not going to have control over the conditions like you do here. So, it's something that we've prided ourselves on places I've been, and we're going to get it cranking and get going from there, I can promise you.
Joe, what happened on that snap in Detroit? Or Indianapolis, where we're just in Indianapolis.
Yeah, Detroit, I couldn't tell you about. But Indy, it was a play that we'd been practicing. You'd probably seen it if you guys were paying attention during that period because you've been watching our period, right? So it was just an execution issue, and we'll get it cleaned up from there. It's something that's never happened to me, obviously, but, we'll get it squared away, and it's just nice to be with an offensive group that can bail you out like we did.
You've never seen
No, I'd never seen it, and I don't want to ever see it again, just so we're on the same page.
Yeah. How surprising was that to see happen?
Very surprising. Yeah, extremely surprising.
When you came in, go ahead. When you came in here, what kind of changes were you hoping to bring in general terms to the special teams, and how would you rate how it's gone so far?
Yeah, I wouldn't, I'm not pleased with where we're at in certain instances. Certain I am. I think Matt Gay's done a heck of a job so far. We want to continue on that road. Johnny at this point, when you look at it, he punted from the plus 40 going in. He's had two backed up punts. He hit 146 and out of bounds against Himes, which was good to have. He's really had one punt that you'd like to have back. So he just really hasn't had that many opportunities. And really in the return game right now, we just haven't had a ton of opportunities. We really had the one return, and that is the play that I'm probably as much irritated with as the punt, to be honest with you, because that's a house call if we get one block the way we're supposed to, and that's just a misexecution. We got to get it right.
What's happening with Tutu as well as a punt returner? I mean, is he developing, or because I know when you came in, you said you want a guy, kick returner, that can drop the ball over the goal line.
Yep.
And
Good job of listening, man. That's excellent. Nice job.
so, but we haven't had an opportunity. Fans haven't had an opportunity really to see that yet. So I'm just curious what.
Yeah. So we've had 3 punt returns. 2 are in what you call the safe area, right? I mean, you could try to put a returner back there, but you're not going to get any returns when the ball's being punted from the 50-yard line. That's really what it is. That's the one that I was referencing was the one against Indianapolis, the way they shot down. When you look at the tape, that thing has a chance to go. And unfortunately, we missed one block, and that's what happened. But I'm pleased with where he's at, and hopefully we can get him going in the right direction. I'm very pleased with where he's at from not having done it in college, really. And, he's learned a lot since then.
What kind of challenge is that for you, developing a guy that's coming out of college that really hasn't had very many opportunities, and now you're in the NFL?
You just try to get him as many reps as you can. It was a challenge with him. He had the COVID situation. Unfortunately, I had the COVID situation too. So it was just, we just didn't get a lot of reps together, all that stuff. But he's getting what he needs right now. We'll just keep cranking. And if you watch him out there before practice, he'll be catching him again.
Joe, moving forward, is Cooper taking those safe area returns and handling those that way you want moving forward, or do you want Tutu to be in that role full time?
Yeah, I mean, that's more of a question for Coach McVay, really, to be honest with you. But, we just want the best guy back there that's going to make the best decisions. And I think as the season goes on, obviously Tutu will get better at that. And Cooper's a great security blanket back there, So, he's done it other times for other groups, and hopefully we can continue to do what's the smart thing to do.
Joe, with the way that the Rams drafted this last year and then also executed their college free agent class, you've got a lot of young guys that you're teaching these concepts to. What's that development been like, and where do you find those landmarks that lead to consistency?
Yeah, I think the more that they play with each other, it's going to help. I've had this situation before where you have young groups, and you just have to really learn to play together. And I don't think the effort's a problem. I think when you watch them during practice, the way they prepare, the way they run, the way they're asked to do things, and the way they have responded, I'm very pleased with that part of it. I just think experience is experience. How do you get it? You get it by playing. So I think they'll get better as we go, and I'm pleased with all of them. They just gotta, get that experience, and I think we'll reap the benefits down the road for sure.
Joe, are you seeing more punt returners field balls deep inside, back inside their 10 than they previously did?
Yeah, one of the things that's happened, Steve, is because of the punters getting so much better at those inside of 20 balls, what we call hang 10 balls. The thing is, they drop it on the 9, they drop it on the 8, and now you're seeing guys catch those balls that you didn't before because there's a good chance they were going in the end zone. So I think that's really what's happened there. We see it all the time, during the week, guys fielding balls that you're like, wow, I can't believe they're doing that. But I think that's really why, to be honest with you.
The adage used to be guys plant their feet on the 10 and don't move. Did your philosophy change with how precise these punters are getting, or is that what you still?
Yeah, it's a game-to-game situation. Now we want to obviously make them execute for sure. But I think it's a game-to-game situation because, you never know how high the ball's going to be. You don't know exactly what kind of punt it's going to be. And that's where the experience of a guy like Cooper helps you out.
I think this is the first time we've talked to you since the punter situation was solved or the decision was made. What went into the decision from your perspective to keep Johnny over Corey?
Well, a lot of things, right? Johnny's had a hell of a career here, and we didn't see a drop-off in performance in the training camp practices and in the practices here. So that was part of it. The other thing was, obviously he's a guy that's so well thought of here by a lot of people. There's something to be said for keeping leadership too. So that was part of it too. But, the kid had a heck of a camp. Obviously had a great game against Denver, but, that's how it goes. We got some draft capital for him too. So I think it was a win-win for both of us, to be honest with you.
And how do you, for the uneducated such as myself, how do you determine a long snapper battle, and how did that shake out?
Yeah, that was close. That was real close. We had two young guys that we liked. I had Matt before in Jacksonville, so obviously had some experience, which was good. But the biggest thing probably for the young guys is their protection on punt. And we just felt like he was a little bit better than Stephen was, at that point. He's on a practice squad right now. He's probably going to make it in the league. So, hopefully we picked, the right guy, and I'm happy for him being able to compete for a job.
You joked as you walked
Couple
in.
more guys.
You joked how we always want to talk with you.
Hey, man, it's 33 years, dude. I've been doing this for a long time, man.
How long does it take in those 33 years before you get used to the idea that, things are going to either go spectacularly well or spectacularly badly in the special teams?
Yeah, I don't think that's always the case, but I do think that it's amplified a lot more than it is on offense or defense. There's 65 plays in a game. There's 25 plays or 30 plays for us. Obviously, when something like that happens, it's a huge momentum swing, and it's also a play that people remember. They don't necessarily remember the left tackle missing his block and Stafford getting hit on something, right? We don't want that, but I'm just saying, they don't remember that. But obviously they're going to remember that play. I'm going to remember that play for a long time, unfortunately. My wife won't even forget it. That's for damn sure. But I've just gotten hardened with it. I know we played a horrible game against the Rams in 2017, right? And when I was in Jacksonville. And the next week right after that, we scored a touchdown to help us win the game. The next week after that, we scored a touchdown to help us win the game. So, and it was a young group. So you just got to keep chopping wood and keep working. And, I think if the process is right and the guys are preparing the right way, you got a chance.
Joe, I speak, more than this thing around 15 years ago back in the
Long time ago, dude.
But real quick, Jadon Mickens, how much of a threat is he in fraternity, especially a guy that you think he is?
Yeah, one of the guys that I was just talking about that scored a touchdown in 17. He's definitely turned himself into a very, very serviceable, good returner in this league. He had the big game against Dallas, and really one was called back. He had a 35-yard punt return. It was called back. So, we don't know what his injury status is. We'll have to see and wait and see. You guys probably know more than I do with the injury report today. But he's a guy that we're going to have to really focus in on and do a good job against for sure.
Joe, what's it been like working with Dwayne? I feel
Hey, he's my guy, man. I mean, Steve probably wouldn't remember him, but he played for us in Atlanta. We ended up letting him go, and then we've stayed together, talking and all that kind of stuff. And then I was in Dallas, brought him in there for a year, and then we went to Chicago for a year or 2 years, and then unfortunately we weren't able to hook up until now. But it's glad to have him back, man. He was with me in Jacksonville too and some stuff, so really glad to have him back. He does a heck of a job, man.
Thank you.
Thank you.